January of 2024, the Medical and Chirurgical Faculty of Maryland celebrates the 225th anniversary of its founding. Eugene Fauntleroy Cordell, who wrote the 1899 Medical Annals of Maryland, gave some thought to the first meeting and imagined the 101 founders coming together for the first time. It is likely that the meeting may have been held in the State House's Senate chamber, where President Washington resigned his commission and read his ever-memorable address just 16 years earlier. There, we may see the founders preparing to sit in council, grave and reverent, deliberate in act and speech, still clad in the antique style, wig, queue, frilled shirt, high-neck coat with large brass buttons, knee breeches, stockings, shoe buckles, and not least, gold-headed canes. The first to enter was the Baltimore delegation arriving by the morning coach, George Buchanan, full of enterprise and action, followed by Henry Stevenson, Prince of Inoculators, Lyle Goodwin, the surgeon, the courtly and handsome Ashton Alexander, one of the youngest incorporators, and Arthur Pugh and Daniel Moores, both graduates of Edinburgh. Close behind them were the delegates from Baltimore County, Thomas Craddock and Philip Trapnell, both great in the councils of the church. John Cromwell, described as a man of fine constitution and exemplary habits, and the others. Next comes the Anne Arundel delegation, headed by the striking figure of Upton Scott, venerable with his 77 years, precise, practical, and businesslike. Another early arrival must have been Charles Alexander Warfield, the impetuous leader of the Patriots in the Peggy Stewart affair, and the first to propose a separation from the mother country. A delegation from the western part of the state has just arrived on horseback. The revered Philip Thomas of Frederick, a leader in his community, James Anderson, whose practice is said to have covered 100 square miles, and others who joined along the way. From the northeast came John Archer of Hartford, teacher, patriot, statesman, stern in look, the patriarch of American graduates, and Elijah Davis, who had been a prisoner on a Jersey ship for 2 years during the Revolution. From the Potomac region came Charles Worthington of Georgetown, who was known in his day as the court physician, Charles A. Beatty, the owner of the land on which Washington was built, and William Beans, Jr., whose capture and imprisonment led to the writing of the Star-Spangled Banner by his friend and rescuer and the nephew of Upton Scott, Francis Scott Key. From southern Maryland came Gustavus Brown of Port Tobacco, who was consultant in the last illness of George Washington, and Daniel Jennifer and John Parnham of Charles County, both surgeons in the Revolution. The eastern shore doubtless furnished its full quota, coming by sailboat from across the bay. From Easton came Tristram Thomas, distinguished in his extreme height, the tenuity of his frame, and his gentle manner, the brusque Ennals Martin, and Perry Eccleston Knoll, the Edinburgh graduate. From Kent County came James Moat Anderson, a small, spare figure with a limp, dressed in the sober garb of the Methodists. Morgan Brown, Jr., who is described by his contemporaries as a man of remarkable judgment and acumen, and Edward Worrell, the medical teacher of that section. From Queen Anne's County came James Davidson, who hailed from the Highlands of Scotland, and Robert Goldsborough, an old-fashioned gentleman, very fine-looking, precise, and prim. Having alighted from coach and stage, having disembarked from vessels which lay moored in the Severn River, and having dismounted from their horses, we can imagine them assembling for the business before them. A short time is doubtless spent in greetings and congratulations upon the success of their long efforts to obtain legislation, and the prospect of usefulness which now unfolds before them.
If you enjoyed this video, we'd appreciate it if you could leave a like or a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get alerts for future videos. For further insights, feel free to explore our history blog at medchiarchives.blogspot.com. Thank you.